Assalamu everyone, my name is Gul. I've been doing calisthenics for the better part of 8 years, and I'm going to show you exactly how I got to this point, my journey, how exactly you guys can start calisthenics as well, and I'll show you a little bit about my setup as well. So if you follow me here, this is the setup we have. Very minimal, just a few dumbbells, a barbell, some plates, most importantly our pull-up bar, our parallettes, so on and so forth. For starting calisthenics, you don't need much equipment, just a little bit here and there is good enough, so you don't need to splurge like you would have to for a full-fledged gym. So what is calisthenics exactly? Calisthenics is just a fancy word for bodyweight movements, and essentially you're focusing on the basics, your pull-ups, push-ups, squats, your dips, and those lead on to much more difficult exercises. What are those difficult exercises? You should be seeing them on screen just to get a better idea, a better sense of exactly where this journey can really take you and what people strive to achieve. Apart from that, you would always want to focus on the basics first. So you'd never want to focus on the top portion or the end goal at the start, just because you want to build your foundation up. You want to make sure that everything's nice and smooth, running smoothly, and you're strong enough, and your bones and tendons are strong enough, more importantly. Be sure that you do not injure yourself. So taking you along the basics is what I'm going to show you today. Without basics, you're not going to do anything with those advanced skills because you'll just end up hurting yourself, even if you're strong enough to hold it. So push-up basic that everyone knows of is just where you make sure that hands are around shoulder width apart. Now, what people tend to do is they go way too wide. That's not what you want to do, and you don't want to flare your elbows out. Flaring your elbows out would basically mean that you push your elbows outwards rather than tuck them towards your body itself. So just the method that I like to teach everyone is a 45-degree angle with your elbows and your body, and try to keep your body as straight as possible from your shoulder to your feet. Just come down and press back up. And this is the reps you want to follow for whenever you're trying to build muscle using the push-up itself. For anyone who is not able to do a push-up, there are plenty of regressions and progressions that you can use. So let's say the classic one is the knee push-up. The only issue with this is people start doing them very wrong, where they'll have their hips super high and they'll start doing their push-up like this, but essentially you're not doing much over here since the chest and your shoulders isn't taking much load. So how you can just better improve that is just try to keep your feet or your knees a bit further apart from your hands, and hopefully that should create a straight line from your shoulder to your hips and to your feet as well. So where if you're normally doing them here, just push your knees a bit further back so that there's a nice straight line that you can draw from your shoulder to your knees. And then you'd practice them in the same motion that you do the regular pull-up. The only thing that you're doing here is that you've decreased load, so you can increase the amount of reps that you can do if you can't do a full push-up yet. So one other way that you can better increase the strength for your full push-up is if you take any sort of elevated surface. So I have a box here, you can even just take a bench, a chair, or anything of that sort, or even a sofa. You'd place your hands onto the elevated surface while the feet are still on the ground, and you'd maintain that same push-up form that I showed you earlier, where your shoulder and your feet are in one straight line along with your hips as well. And you do the same motion as I showed you in the push-up, keeping your elbows tucked in, don't flare them out. And this is great to progress on to the full push-up as well. And this progression is way better than doing it just on your knees, just because you get a better sense of how your body should be aligned as well. So now that we've covered one of the push movements, that is one of the basics for calisthenics, let's cover one of the pull movements as well. So pulling is essentially just whatever you pull towards you, and pushing is basically just whatever you push away from you when gravity is pushing against you. For this, we're going to show the chin up and the pull up. The chin up being the easier variation simply because you can involve your biceps a lot more, and the pull up being the harder variation just because how the movement itself happens in a sagittal plane. That's why it gets a bit harder. So I'll first show you the chin up itself. So where your hands would be in a supinated position. Supinated just means that your hands are facing towards your face. Grab the bar, again shoulder width, not too wide, and you're just going to try and pull yourself all the way up and come back down as well. Majority of the people are focusing too heavily on trying to maximize the amount of reps. But with that, what happens is when they come down, their elbows are still bent. Again, that's just not optimal for all the different elements and skills that you want to progress onto, and your tendons won't be as strong for them if you do these incorrectly. So for a pull-up is just the opposite of the chin-up, where you have your hands facing away from you. So they're in a pronated position. So same protocols where you grab it just around outside shoulder width, and again with straight elbows, pulling yourself up, coming down and pulling yourself up again, so on and so forth. Now, to make this a bit easier for yourself, if you're not able to do it just with the bodyweight version, you're always able to use bands. So let's say if I use a thicker band the first time around, I get more accustomed to it, build more muscle, build more volume with that, then I can move on to a lighter band where this isn't going to help me as much, so it'll challenge me a lot more, and it's going to be a better progression for when I'm trying to accomplish the full pull-up or chin-up itself. So with the band, all you want to do is bring it up, loop it around once, and now it's stuck into the bar. Next, just put one or both feet into the band and you perform the same exercise just like I showed you before, where you can pull it down, put it in between your feet, press down on it, just keep it close to you, and you do the exact same movement, but this time with the help of the band, which makes it a whole lot easier. So let's say that again you're still trying to accomplish your pull-up or chin-up. You would still want something to assist you, which is not just the band, because the band will help you most at the bottom just because it's outstretched, so most amount of force will be produced here. But as you start pulling yourself higher and higher, it's going to help you a lot less, so it becomes more challenging. But that's not what we want at the start. We want to make sure that we follow through the entire plane of movement in the most controlled and most consistent manner possible. So you grab a box, a chair, anything like that that can help you come above onto the bar itself, and you'd want to practice holds and then do negative. So negative is essentially just coming from the top range of the pull-up or chin-up and then bringing yourself down in a slow, controlled manner. So you do the same thing. Again, chin-up grip I'll show. You'd hop up just to where you can hold your chin above the bar. Hold yourself here for maybe a second or two, and you'd lower yourself down very slow and controlled. Important thing to note is just don't let yourself fall down, because that is just going to not have much muscular carryover, or you're not going to damage your muscles enough to the point that they want to grow, where you just hop up and fall. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to do it in a slow, controlled manner. So now that you've seen the basic introduction that I've given for calisthenics and this basic exercise that you can start off with, start by just performing these at home, start by just getting comfortable with them and understanding them, and just stick around for future content that we put out on this channel in particular, and you'll find out a lot more on how you can get even more advanced with calisthenics. We'll cover more advanced skills. We'll also cover some basic cues as well that you can just incorporate into your daily life or daily routine for the gym as well. So please don't forget to like, share and subscribe this video, and inshallah see you in the next one.